Greetings everyone, here we are with another delightful video. This time it's going to be covering the starter set for 2nd edition Wrath and Glory for Warhammer 40k Wrath and Glory. Now people are going to get like 5 seconds confused here. There is actually a tabletop role-playing game, Warhammer 40,000 Roleplay Wrath and Glory 2nd edition. There is also Wrath and Glory, obviously, 1st edition. There is Rogue Trader. There is also some fantasy ones like Warhammer Roleplay Fantasy 4th edition. And then there's also Soulbound, which is a Age of Sigmar based one. And a dozen others that were released over the years, such as Dark Heresy and a few others. So I don't know what's up. The only one that has a long-sticking history of keeping on coming back and producing a lot of quality content was the Warhammer Roleplay Fantasy Roleplay, which incidentally I have 3rd edition right here, which has a lot of content for it. And this is also one of my things that I'm going to unbox when I probably get around 1,000 subscribers. Or I just get sick of having it around and then decide, screw it, I will unbox it when I run out of other ttrpgs to unbox. So here we go. Warhammer 40,000 Roleplay Wrath and Glory 2nd Edition is produced by Cubicle 7. And it's 14 and up, obviously, because it's Warhammer. It's 1 to 4 hour play between 2 to 7 people. MSRP's for $39.99. And it comes with a broad range of goodies in the box, as you can see here, if you can happen to see there. Sometimes I leave it set to a dim setting on my screen, so I can't even tell if the camera is actually catching all the details. But you get all this fun stuff that's in the box. The Warhammer role-playing game systems are typically a D100 system. That is a roll under, if I remember correctly. It's very much in the same style and flavor as, say, Call of Cthulhu in game mechanics. However, some of the structuring system is somewhat reminiscent of Dungeons and Dragons. So it's like it's an interesting hybrid in between. It also has its own leveling up mechanic and skill leveling up, where you pick from a set of skills in the fantasy roleplay games. Now, as for Wrath and Glory is concerned, we will see in a moment. In the case of this system, it's a D6 system. Treated inside a cover with artwork, which is good. At minimum, if you have a treated cover, you can use it as a dice tray in a need be, and you're good. This is a D6 system, as you can see here. The number 5 happens to have a skull on it, as well as 4 and 6. As you can see there's a few examples. The red one is the 6. And then you see a version of it as a black one as a 6, as well as a 4 and a 5. The 5 is on the bottom corner now. And 1 to 2 and 3 don't have any symbols on them. We have Read This First pamphlet, which is a cabinet style or cabinet folio style sheet that opens up. It tells you the basic gist of what's in the box, what is the system all about, and a little bit of history and the factions of Warhammer for 40,000. Then we have your player character sheets. First thing first. This is the same kind of setup as I can see as the Warhammer fantasy role play 4th edition starter set, as well as the... I'm having a brain fart from it's really long titles. It's Warhammer Fantasy Age of Sigmar Soulbound, or Roleplay Soulbound. That is one of the worst things I hate about the Warhammer franchise, is you end up with literally just ridiculously long titles for the product, because it goes into subgenre into subgenre on itself. You have a nice little set of characters: a human, a Astartes, a Eldar, a Mechanicus. Looks like a rogue trader. Yep, it says right there, rogue trader. A sister of battle. And you have a sanctioned psyker. And they're, yet again, folio style. So when you open big piece of artwork on the front, and then on the back there's a little bit of information about the character, roleplay-wise. And as you open it up, your character sheet is in dead center of the sheet, with all your attributes and skills listed down here, as well as your wrath score, your survival stats, how many wounds you have, your shock score, munitions, corruption level, talents and abilities, and your war gear down here, as well as your other gear and notes. On this side right here, it explains your background, connections, secrets, and objectives. And on the other side is your abilities, such as Psychers in the Imperium, abilities and talents. You have your Psycher ability, you're favored by the Warp, Psychosessence, Psychic powers, Deny the Witch, Smite, Dull Pain, and Chameleon. And each character has their own set of characteristics or abilities, such as Sisters of Battle, which use a lot of faith abilities, such as Adeptus Sororitas, abilities and talents, Die Hard, Divine Guidance, Martyr's Tears, Purity of Faith, and then a little bit listing of equipment and their sheet. So you get the general gist of what's in the character sheets. They're very simple overall. You can easily make out where they're going. Once you have seen one system and quickly read through it, you get a general idea. If I'm correct, it's a D6 system that actually maps into a D100 structure. My best guess on how this version works. You got a nice little introduction here. Adventure book, Trader's Hymn, which has your nice little table of contents up here, and your introduction. Goes on to the synopsis, starting the game, Trader's Hymn Among the Stars, and it continues along from there. There appears to be very nice organization, nice big bold lettering, a lot of boxes that section off various important details, so it's easy for you to tell. There is a good amount of artwork spread through the book to break up long sections of text, as you can see. And then on the back side, as you can see here, we have some stat blocks for various entities. These are all the stat system for the Warhammer role-playing games is generally based around this minis system. So if I remember correctly, this S stands for strength, T is for toughness, A is for accuracy, I can't remember. Oh, maybe invulnerable save. W2, that's what the will save right there. Intelligence and fell. I don't know what that means. You got your defense right here, wounds, shock score, and resilience for that enemy. And you got a whole bunch of other stats in the back of the book for various NPCs and other enemies that your party's going to run into in the adventure. In this box, there also happens to be a nice set of tokens. Some red tokens, some yellow tokens, and some purple tokens. The red tokens have Imperium symbols on them, as well as the yellow tokens, but the purple tokens have the chaos divided or chaos symbol on it. So that's most likely not a good thing to have those purple tokens on something. You have, this is another nice thing about this system. Much like Soulbound and Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th edition, they have handy-dandy cheat sheets that have a lot of the essential rules on them, but also this is specifically about fear tests and various other things. You got rules on making tests, a sheet on actions as well as attacking and weapon traits. You got a nice little map. Oops. Got a nice little map of the solar system in which you guys are traveling to or in when this adventure occurs. And then we have a setting book that talks about the setting in which this TTRPG takes place in. It's the Vernus Flotilla. Just so you know, the language in Warhammer 40k is referred to as High Gothic. There's also Low Gothic. High Gothic is the language of the elites, the Stardies, the Lords of Terra, really important people in the Empire. Low Gothic is literally just the language of the commoner. It's a more simplified version of High Gothic. You have a nice photo of almost all your major characters that you are playing. In here, for the table of contents, it has Welcome to the 41st Millennium, Fleet Politics, Ships of the Fleet, Ports of Call, Adventures, and apparently there's a bunch of adventures in here. Page back to that. Yeah, you got a few little mini adventures in here for fun. That has a few enemies in it. So when you're done playing through if you want to, you can play through these little mini adventures first, or you can play through the big adventures. On the back, they also have the 3 major books right off the bat early on in the system for the players to buy in the Game Master as well. This book largely appears to talk about the lore of the world, as the system itself is actually quite simple to play, and once you get through the basic little section of the main adventure, you pretty much know how to use it. That's one of the things about the Warhammer Fantasy or Warhammer roleplay systems, is that I found that from the quick reading of various ones, the various different versions of them, they're actually all exceedingly easy to understand the moment you see them. It's just a matter of it's like a dice pool system that maps to a set of principles of like a D100 system, except it's only in 6-sided dice. I can't remember off the top of my head if it's roll under or roll over. I think they changed it a few times. It was through the history of the system at some point where they went from a roll over to a roll under. So you happen to have that nice handy dandy map yet again in the bottom of the box. I'm going to have to do more research on this one to know for sure if it's a roll over or roll under. But it's usually something really simple, like you just need to roll a 6 up on a certain ability or something to use it. And I probably can figure that out from quickly reading either read this first or one of the Space Marines. This is specifically, I do believe, he's a scout. Okay. You gain a +1 to use the terrain. You gain a +1 to stealth. A, test when there is some form of terrain to hide behind. Let's okay. Yeah, it's on one of those cheat. It's on one of those guide sheets. There's a wrath die and wrath points and a glory pool. Okay, let's see here. Oh, by the way, they're just one-sided sheets, so... how to make initiative in this system. In combat, the initiative order for each round passes between the players and the GM. The players choose one agent to act first. Then that agent has acted. The GM chooses a threat or an NPC to act next. Then the players choose a different person and then pass the turn back to the GM, and so on. So basically, the players get the first turn, then the GM, then the players, then the GM, then the players, then the GM, and once they get to the end of all the people, it recycles back around to the top, in which case the players can choose yet again who goes first in their positions, and then the third position, and the fifth position, and so forth. That's a very nice system for making sure that you don't have a cluster of enemies all in one turn, or you don't have a cluster of players in another part of the turn at the beginning. It's kind of weird and arbitrary, but it maintains that it's easier to balance the system to the situation and make sure that you don't end up having all the enemies roll and be first and then totally nuke the first player or one of the players right off the bat in the game. Okay, so shifting. A 6 on any die is called the exalted icon, meaning that it's worth 2 icons and can potentially be spent for an additional effect. If a player rolls enough icons on a test, they are managed to equal to the DN. They have an exalted icon left. This is a dice pool system, and yeah, it's a dice pool system. So basically, 4, 5, and 6 are successes, but a 6 counts as a double success. And sometimes you need more icons or more successes to succeed on something, to overcome failures on other parts of the rolls. So damage in combat, you got AP in here, lost wounds and death, determination scores. So yeah, this is a fairly interesting and simple system, and probably should read it in greater depth and maybe even get the core rulebook for it. And then it goes on my pile of 50 systems to show to my 3 to 4 groups to say, are you interested in this system? Because I'm interested in this system. And then they'll remind me that I'm supposed to set up that one game for that one adventure, that one campaign that they've been wanting to run, and for that one system they've been wanting to try. So that's one of those problems when you do have a huge collection of tabletop role-playing games and you run several different systems. You're going to have someone like, I love playing Call of Cthulhu. It's a really cool game. Do you happen to have another one-shot for it? Or do you have, say, like a campaign? We want to play a campaign. Might be able to make Matt to say yes on it. We'll try our best. Or see if we get the girl team or the girl group excited for Call of Cthulhu. I'm quite sure they would actually enjoy it. Seeing as most of the enemies in Call of Cthulhu at low level, early on in any adventure is usually humans, there's most definitely enough penises to chop off. It's one of those disturbing things you discover when you have groups you have one group that is almost all girls, and a few other groups that are just all guys, and a group that is mixed between the two, and you discover that the girls are really murder hobo-y really fast, That is something that really adjusts the whole concept of feminism in your mind. It really sells the whole concept of, if women ruled the world, there would be no violence and no wars, kind of thing, being a complete and absolute lie and delusion. But anyways, they're literally the most murder group there is. If it has a dick, they want to chop it off. But anyways, it's a really nice starter set. It has nice big cheat sheets with clean text on it. The question is whether it is very clear as to how the exact rules work, and if it is all the essential rules that you need for the adventure, or if there's more rules in the adventure that you come across as you are playing, and then you teach those rules to the players as you're going in the adventure. Because sometimes that is the case with some starter sets, is that they'll have the basic rules on on cheat sheets or cards, but all the rest of the rules are integrated directly into the adventure itself. And as you're playing through the adventure, you come across like, okay, this is how you do this opposed test. You have the enemy roll their die, and you have the player roll their die. If the player here is greater or double, if they are greater, they win. If they are double, well, what the enemy rolls, it's a great critical success, and you move on to the next round on it, kind of thing like that. Overall, there you got tokens. You got really nice cabinet-style folio sheets, character sheets. You have a straight-up nice short adventure with stat blocks in the back end for a bunch of creatures and enemies. You have a setting book for the system that also contains several mini adventures for the system. So you can play through the big adventure, or you can play through the mini adventures. You have a nice little map in there, and you have a nice little advertisement that tells you about it. Overall, I kind of feel that this system would be nice if there was a Game Master screen that was included with it, so you can just even a cheap 3-panel Game Master screen, you open up and it has all the basic rules of how to do things in it. That would have been nice. The question is this truly the complete basic rules of the system, or is it just the bare bones of the basic rules? The question is also, if you're playing, are you going to run into a situation where you had to figure out or look at one of the big reference sheets and then reference something else on in the adventure booklet to find how the mechanic works, kind of situation. So this is kind of like in that 3.5 territory kind of thing. They could have used more clarification on the rules to make it way more easier. It appears to operate very much on the modern standard system of Warhammer Fantasy or modern Warhammer roleplay systems, where it is you roll one or more dice, and the higher number, everything from 4 and 5 and 6, are successes, and a 6 is a double success, and you need X many successes or symbols to succeed on a thing. Everything else is fairly simple, but very oriented towards social interaction, talky roleplay kind of component of the game. So that'll be interesting in itself. I don't know if I'm going to get to this before Matt gets up the will to actually go for trying to run Avatar Legends. I'm probably feeling that if I run this before Matt gets to doing his Avatar Legends thing or builds up this will, this might actually cause him to actually want to run his Avatar Legends, because both systems are fundamentally the same kind of thing, because they're both dice pool success fails on given number of emblems or symbols. So there you go. I do like it very much. It falls into that territory of the Warhammer role-play game systems that have really interesting concepts and mechanics in them that I would like to play, but it inevitably means that I have to convince people to want to play them, kind of situation. And it takes me a good bit of time to convince people to try other systems. I have successfully managed in the past year and a half to get people into playing Call of Cthulhu 7th Edition in one of my groups. And I've got another group of people that are interested in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. However, as I said numerous times on the channel, my main group, which is the group that wants to play Pathfinder 2nd Edition, everyone in that group is game masters. So as we play through a campaign, we play for 1 to 2 years in a campaign, or maybe even more, in one system, and then the next campaign is with a different game master. And considering that group is 9 people, and I think not of the 9 people, 8 of them are game masters, I think my next opportunity to run a campaign might actually be in 2031. Because I'm quite certain that Cole's going to get the itch up again to run a campaign after Nathan is done with his. We just got done with Matt's campaign in that group. Or John is going to get the itch to want to run another campaign after Nathan. So I have to be like Johnny on the spot, and like when we get done with Nathan's campaign, probably in either on the tail end of 2025 or in the middle of 2026, I'm going to have to be right there and like, hey guys, it's time to play Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Bam. There you go. We're playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition now. It's that, or I had to get it on the Tuesday group, which has only 4 game masters in it. Me, John, Matt. Yeah, there's only 4 game masters of the 7 people that's in that group. So that's the complication of living in Wisconsin and having literally game masters and dungeon masters everywhere. If you get into a group, odds are there's going to be like another 4 people in that group that happen to game master. And when you get your rotation around to game mastering for your campaign, it might be 3 years in the future or 6 years in the future. So there you go. So thank you very much for watching this video. I definitely like this system. I should actually read some more into it to see what it is in finer detail. If you want me to cover more of this system, go into the comments and click like on the comment I'm going to leave. Like the video. Comment in the comments saying, yes, I want more of this. Then subscribe if you have not subscribed to the channel on this video. That way I see the subscriber amount go up on this video specifically. And that way I know specifically that you are interested in this system. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a delightful day, a nice night, a wonderful weekend, a magnificent month, and see you next time. Ciao.